Hello and welcome to Two Guys and a Few Good Men. I am TJ Washuk.
And I am Garrett Loberg.
And welcome to Movie Lowdown for the week of October 1st, 2018.
What an intro, my friend. Let's get right into the news.
Welcome to Spooktober. First up in the news, we have a little bit of trolling that went on, I guess, between Lady Gaga fans and fans of the Venom movie, or fans of comic books in general. According to some news articles, BuzzFeed, and a few others.
Good source right there.
Yeah, right? But everyone's using them for the source in this article because they interviewed people. But apparently some Lady Gaga fans went online to various movie rating websites and gave Venom horrible reviews, gave it 1 star. Just to bring it down, that way Star is Born would get more view time.
I miss when we didn't review movies and it was just either a good movie, a shitty movie, or I should get drunk before I watch it.
Yeah.
Like that really, Rotten Tomatoes, I always go to them. I don't know why, but this is why I don't like rating systems, because it allows people to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it just shows how toxic, or as we could say, venomous, the Lady Gaga fans are. I mean, it's a movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
it's just a movie, and you're going out there and you're going to tank a movie. Now, we're going to give our opinions on Venom at the end, but in my opinion, I liked the movie, and I didn't think it was even close to worth 1 star. And I won't get into the rest of the review, but this is kind of sad. Like, you don't see people from comic books. I mean, if they say that the Venom people are doing it too, then there's no White Knight here. But the fact that it brought up that Lady Gaga was kind of it wasn't her. But.
No, it wasn't her at all, and she didn't, ask her fans to do this. Mm-hmm. But it's still kind of sad to see that this type of stuff happens, because if you don't support something, you shouldn't be doing that. Because it ruins it for the rest of us.
Yeah,
it ruins it for actual people that want to go see it, because now they might not go see it because it has such a bad review.
And I take 1 star reviews pretty personally, because I only give them out like very little.
Yeah.
And so like when I see that, I kind of go and read them, and when you start seeing a bunch of them, it's really sad, because people will do that just to tank a movie even though they've never seen it. And what happens if like these are kids and later on in life they go and they're like, man, Venom was a great movie. Why why was I such a dumbass? And
I mean, I was telling you this yesterday, good majority of people go off of Rotten Tomatoes if they want to see a movie.
Yeah.
They just look at the rating like, okay, I'll go see it.
And right now, Venom's at 31. It doesn't need any more negative reviews. I mean, people are going to see it, regardless.
And then speaking of people seeing it, Venom actually did great for Thursday night. It made $10 million, which was the highest Thursday grossing for October in history. That is also higher than the $6.4 million that Ant-Man and the Wasp made on Thursday earlier this summer, which is another comic book movie.
Yeah, and I like this. Good thing to see that Venom's doing good.
Yeah, for a comic book movie?
Yeah. And
that's new?
and you talk about, and we were just talking about this, I think the reason is because obviously people haven't seen Venom in theaters before. They've seen Ant-Man in theaters. It was a really good, actually, if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, it's not even rated.
What, Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man is the only MCU movie right now, I believe. Maybe Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
That has not been rated.
Oh.
So there's not a lot of reviews to go off. So the fact that Venom's doing better right now, it's saying a lot for that franchise and what they could do for Venom. And it's sad to see how the movie ended and the way that it's being perceived right now, because I think it could have potential, especially them doing it in San Francisco, to put it in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Him go back to New York, and maybe it's Spider-Man that screwed up his career, and that's why they're going after him. So I see what they did, but it's nice to see that it got this good of a weekend, because that means there's a future for it.
And I was also kind of thinking that maybe it was the PG-13 rating that kind of helped, because it got kids to go see it. But for Deadpool, that didn't really matter, because kids still saw that.
Exactly.
But we'll talk about Venom in our review.
Of course, there's a lot of triggering bits in this thing that bring up the reviews. So.
Yeah, of course. But next up, a new Steven Spielberg movie coming out. It's in the works. Steven Spielberg is working on a reboot of West Side Story. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it is a 1957 musical that won many awards and also was on the big screen in 1961. It won 10 Academy Awards and Best Picture. Now, we don't know too much about the casting. All we know is that Baby Driver's Ansel Elgort, is that how you pronounce the name?
I think it's Igort or Engort. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's gonna be playing Tony, one of the White Gang members.
Hey, Tony! I wonder how this will turn out, because you remember Annie a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Where they had Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx, yeah.
In it, and they did another take on it, and it didn't do too well, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it no matter what, you're gonna have people that are fans of it, but if you think about it, that's such an old movie. This is such an old movie too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're gonna bring in a lot of drama geeks. You're gonna bring in a lot of
shit, yeah.
That, but your main cast, your main audience now becomes adults.
Yeah. And
people that remember it or are into obscure movies. So that's why Annie, I think, flopped, was because nobody knows, like no one knows The Hard Knock Life or any of that stuff. We might because of Austin Powers,
yeah.
But a lot of kids nowadays aren't going to know it, so that's why it kind of goes as an untapped. It might be untapped, but it's only going to be tapped by a certain amount of people, and that's. So, and Steven Spielberg's really good at what he does, so I think that it has potential to look really good.
His first musical.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, oh, let me try something else.
Exactly,
something
and
different.
It doesn't hurt, and I don't think that... I'm not knocking the sense that it's Steven Spielberg or anything like that. It's just the fact that they don't do good, and, they do great in Broadway because you're always going to have a crowd for that.
Yeah.
And in theater, but in movies, they kind of either go one way or the other.
And then just to end on this... Since West Side Story is going to be made, Indiana Jones 5 is going to now be delayed till 2021. So all you Indiana Jones fans, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait a little longer.
They're coming off of that high from the Crystal Skull, or that meth high, where it's just like...
Oh, that crystal meth high.
Yeah, either it's lasted way too long, or they're like, man, we need some more of this. So, God damn... Are we even sure that Harrison Ford will be able to perform? Like, we're gonna have to have a body double for him and stunt like
CGI character.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of Carrie Fisher taking on the role she did, and how it didn't screw over production because they're gonna just have to rewrite everything for the next Jedi. But this whole Harrison Ford thing, it's like, what happens if something, God forbid, happens to Harrison Ford in the next 3 years? What's going to happen? Like, if that happens, they can reboot it, which is great for their business.
Yeah.
But I'm sure fans will be like, I'm sure if anything, it'll be like a Stan Lee where he's only in a little bit of it, and he's like, oh, son, go off and be an adventurer.
Yeah, pass the torch type
exactly.
of deal.
And I think that's what they have to do. And I think they could revive the franchise, but I mean,
that, or if an Uncharted movie like beats them to it, because Uncharted would be cool.
Yeah, a hard reboot or an Uncharted movie would be the only way I could see this working out. So, next up, we've got some research that came in that about 50% of the Last Jedi backlash was political trolling, and this one I'm gonna let you go on to, because I explained my piece and I'll explain in a second, but I want to hear your take on this.
Yeah, so apparently this guy Morton Bay, who is a PhD, wrote a research paper about the politicalization of Star Wars fandom, and apparently from his research it shows that 50% of the criticism directed at Rian Johnson was political trolling. Some of it, likely he's saying from Russia, as they all say. It's always from Russia.
Yeah.
Also shows haters equal a small minority, which I think his research is kind of laughable, because I feel Star Wars is a huge franchise, and I feel 50% of the fans did not like Last Jedi. I want to say it was good, clear cut 50-50.
You go on to Rotten Tomatoes, and this is the one thing I will. Yeah, this is the one thing I do like about Rotten Tomatoes is the customer section, which is probably where they're flooding the 1-star reviews for Venom, and it's causing that to tank for people actually saying they like it. But the cool part about it, if you're not running into trolls like that where it's just 1 star, is that enough people gave it 3 and 2 stars, not just 1 star.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 1 star.
And most of it, was saying like, I don't like the political side of it, or like the tones that they had. That it wasn't. I don't think everyone said it was political.
Yeah,
but they definitely said that it was more like there was more social justice-y.
Yeah. And
people like to throw that under political so that they don't have to talk about it.
Exactly.
And I think, like I was saying earlier, I think women are really represented good in the superhero world and the movie world. I think they're getting better too about it, and I think that's where a lot of people really had that problem. That they thought it was like very heavily feminized.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more female actresses.
Exactly, and I get where that comes from, but I don't think that was the case. I think Hold, or whoever, Lieutenant Hold or whatever her name was, the girl with purple hair.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great character to add in there, but at the same time, I thought like the whole Poth situation, it was like, somebody you didn't like.
Their interaction.
Yeah. I thought that was a little too like. He's one of your best pilots. Like, I know he's being a dickhead, but there's other ways to do it other than be a complete...
I felt, exactly. His dialogue was not great at all.
They didn't portray that part. And I think that's where a lot of people sat there, and especially us, we're obviously agreeing on it right now. Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of people agreed on that too, because of the fact that it was, wow, that was really rude what she said, and I guess we maybe don't see that often.
And then she kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, who are you to man this ship? Mm-hmm. We didn't see you in the movie prior, right? And now you're this huge admiral that's taken over.
I'm still devastated about Admiral Akbar.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, man. He was our guy, and he would have been the leader of that ship, but. It's one of those things that I think it was in itself just a flawed movie. I think it was great, but it was also flawed, and I think that people can pick and choose what parts they think it is. But in my book, I think it still got a 50% on. I think half the people did like it, half the people didn't.
Definitely. So moving on from there, we have some interesting details about a video game movie. Not sure if you guys are aware of, but Monster Hunter, the Capcom game, recently came out this year. Pretty sure it was a pretty big success on downloads.
Extremely good.
Yeah.
Good. It was, and I think that
hit records, right?
Well, do you remember one of our friends, David, told me that the first week you could actually get it free.
Oh yeah.
Remember, because I think you even used that code. Like there was
no,
code.
I tried.
Oh, that's right, and you didn't make it. But so a bunch of people got it free, and they figured out that if they took it off if they moved it over to a file on their other PSN account or something like that, I forgot what it was, but they could keep the game free, and so that gave it a lot of publicity.
Yeah,
and that was the big talk of it, and so I guess people tried it. I think you and I both personally have tried it, and we're both not.
Yeah, it's not my type of style of game.
Yeah,
I like Japanese games, but just this style of gameplay wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. But I respect the game.
Correct. Yeah, I watched it a couple times, and they got a lot of monsters and everything in it too.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of stuff.
They're coming out with a new movie. It's being directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Paul W.S. Anderson, he's done movies such as Event Horizon, 2 video game movies, Resident Evil Apocalypse, and Mortal Kombat. He's also worked on Death Race.
Was Death Race the one that was a video game that they were in, or was that just the one where they were racing cars?
They were just racing cars for the death. Okay. They were prisoners.
I think that was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one.
Before Gerard Butler. Oh, Gerard Butler was in one that was a video game.
Oh, you're talking about Gamer.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
No, that one was with Mr. Baldy, Jason Statham.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then who's going to be acting this? So far, what we know, Mila Jovovich, Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman, of course, he's been in Sons of Anarchy. He was the original Hellboy. Mm-hmm. And Tony Jaa, he was in Ombak, which is a very popular fighting movie.
Wait, was he... Let me see a picture of him. Oh, okay. Okay, I know who he is.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this movie. Apparently, the producers of this, they stated, after living and breathing in the universe of Monster Hunter for 14 years, we are thrilled with enormous anticipation to see our creation adapted for a theatrical release, said Monster Hunter series producer Raizo Chijamoto. Monster Hunter's fan base has exploded over the past year, like I said, with the runaway success of the game Monster Hunter World. I really hope that this movie does well. Already has a backing of three great actors, and a director that, he does decent movies. Mortal Kombat's great. Death Race is, it's okay.
CGI in his movies are great.
Yeah.
He's got a great...
Event Horizon, that was a great movie.
Yeah, FX team. He's got a great FX team. And so, this is definitely up their alley, especially with the fact that they're like dinosaurs and they're different creatures, and it makes sense. So
yeah, and let me see who exactly is going to be the FX, because it says here Dennis Berardi, and Dennis Berardi, he's worked on The Shape of the Water, the Resident Evil movies, Scott Pilgrim, Fight Club. So they got a good guy to make these monsters come to life. Yeah,
and that's all they need, really.
Yeah.
They just need somebody that's not gonna do crappy CGI.
Not do CGI like that was in Justice League.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Or Journey to the End of the World. Like, I know that gets some leeway because it was a little bit older of a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Justice League was just unacceptable.
Oh, and look who else is gonna be it. T.I. is gonna be in Monster Hunter.
Oh, gee. Well, cool.
So, it'll be interesting.
All right, next up we've got Kate Beckinsale, Jason Sudeikis, and a couple more actors are joining Charlie Day's first comedy in his directorial debut. It's going to be called Tonto, and there's really we don't have any plot, we don't have anything to go off of. That's just something that I'm a big fan of Charlie Day. Yeah. Charlie Day is one of my favorite when he does directing for shows. I know he's directing Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and
he writes for them
and writes for him. Yeah, so depending on how he goes, I know with Jason Sudeikis it's gonna be a comedy.
Yeah,
Jason Sudeikis does comedies or comedy dramas. He's always in something funny because he's kind of a typecast as this funny character.
Yeah, and all we know about this movie is it's in pre-production, and Charlie's character's name is the Fool, as he's always the fool in his movies,
right?
And he plays the best fool,
right? And that's why I'm excited for it, and obviously it's not going to come out for a while.
Oh, and John Malkovich.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that it was going to be in it. So it's a great cast. What he's going to do with it, I'd love to see. I can't wait to. It's only in pre-production.
El Tonto. Right, so what I'm thinking, something Spanish, a Mexican. Maybe it's going to be in Mexico. Who knows?
Yeah.
But moving on to our last story, they are making a Challenger movie. So astronaut movies must be hot right now because First Man is coming out this year I think November. Yeah, November. But the Challenger, if you guys aren't aware, it was a spaceship that exploded in 1986, before my time, but a lot of people that are older than us, they vividly remember watching on TV exploding, which it's really sad because they killed 7 people on that ship. And this, I think, will make a great drama movie.
They have a picture of her up here, and I'm just looking at the picture of her.
Oh, it's Michelle Williams.
Yeah, Michelle Williams.
I didn't say that.
Just seeing the picture of her up here, she definitely looks like a teacher. Like, I know there's no certain look to a teacher, but she just definitely has like the prototypical movie teacher.
Yeah.
Very usually thin, lanky, short hair. It's usually kind of like a go-to. And she just kind of plays the part now. So right now, there's not a lot of known about this movie. The fact that they're going and making it is a really, like you said, it's a nod to space movies are kind of really big right now. I'd love to see how they're gonna pace this out, because the ending is gonna obviously be them going up to space.
Yeah, and then the
exploded.
aftermath.
Yeah, so I'd like to see what they're going to do but to fill the time between there. That's going to be the big one.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of like the first Man movie that's come out. It's very similar, except they don't die.
Exactly, yeah. But I'm excited to see it. I think I never got to you get to witness it. You go on YouTube, you can watch the video of it.
True.
But you never understand, we understand the impact of 9/11 and how we felt that day. People are going to obviously feel the same way about this one.
That is going to do it for our news of the week. Let's move into our half of the section where we call our trailers.
We got movie trailers.
All right, so first up we have The Mule, starring and directed by Clint Eastwood, written by Nick Schneck, starring Tessa Farmigan, Bradley Cooper, Michael Pena, and Lawrence Fishburne.
Wow, this is a pretty intense trailer.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives you a lot, but at the same time it doesn't give you a lot because you don't know the situation.
Yeah, just based off the plot here, a 90-year-old horticulturist and World War II veteran is caught transporting $3 million worth of cocaine through Michigan for a Mexican drug cartel. So basically this guy is retired, almost seems like Breaking Bad in a way.
Can't afford anything, can't pay for anything.
Yeah, it's kind of ashamed about his family's situation. I mean, it gives away a little bit, but not too much, which is a great trailer.
Yeah.
It gives you that moments of, whoa, that's interesting, I want to see more.
And the actors in it too. There's a lot of really good actors in it, so
Yeah.
that pretty much gets you excited for the fact that hey, you're gonna get a lot of good performances.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised that Clint Eastwood is still directing and acting in his movies, and he's up there. He's almost in his 90s, I want to say.
Yep, and him and Samuel L. Jackson, just I see them working and how much Samuel L. Jackson works, and I'm just like, it's so surprising because Clint Eastwood obviously is getting to that age where it's taking a little bit longer to get stuff done. But Samuel L. Jackson's he's in Glass right now.
Yeah.
Playing.
But he's not as old.
No, but
how many movies he's in?
It's just he's like Clint Eastwood as well. Like Clint Eastwood before would be in a lot of movies that you just would be like, oh wow, well, he was in that movie. And so it's just like it's really cool to see people like him.
Yeah,
keep going.
And the craziest thing for Samuel Jackson, I think he started when he was in his 40s. He started movies, and ever since then he's been making at least one a year. It seems like.
He can always find himself a role.
Yeah.
So, but this looks good. It looks to the point where I'm tired of seeing Mexican cartel movies. I'm like a little sick.
Sicario was good.
Yeah.
But
it started pushing it. So.
Yeah.
But
we live in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So that too.
We're so close there that it's just like, okay, we get it, guys. We suck, okay? Like,
build a wall.
Yeah.
But this movie comes out December 14th of this year, so it'd probably be around in the theaters, maybe around Christmas. I don't know if it'll still be in
this.
theaters.
This Christmas is supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah,
it's
really
got
surprised.
a lot of really good gems in there that, even if we can't see all of them, just being able to see them after Christmas will be pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
All right, so next up for our trailers, we got Vice that was released this week, coming out in December, I believe 21st, correct?
Yeah.
December 21st. This is a power-studded group of celebrities here. We've got Amy Adams, Christian Bale. We've got, I'm trying to think of who else.
Steve Carell, Jesse Plemons. He looks like Matt Damon.
Yeah. And Sam Rockwell. Yeah, there's a lot of really good actors.
Tyler Perry.
And they're playing all real characters, which is even more. Yeah, it's really entertaining to see Christian Bale and Sam Rockwell interacting with each other, and he does such a great fucking George Bush impression.
I like how he's eating chicken wings.
Yeah,
and talking to him.
And there's a sweet tea out on there. It's like so Texas.
Yeah,
and they do a really good job of just portraying the talk and how Dick Cheney was a little bit more. I feel like a little bit more in the head than George Bush was, because George Bush you watch sometimes and he was just there. He was just I'm the president of the United States, and but now they're saying like this is going to be about him and how he grounded the world in Iraq and the war in Iraq and everything else. So
wow,
that's
and Christian Bale, give up to him seriously for always pushing his body to his limits.
Now I will say that he did the same exact body in the one movie he did, American Hustle.
Still, he still does this all the time.
Exactly.
To every movie.
But I mean,
he gets skinny, fat. Holy crap, man.
Right.
How are you still standing?
But the way I've heard it is that he fills up on stuff that's not like bad for your body. That stuff like you could eat that's healthy, that's just putting more weight on you.
Yeah. I would like to see that.
But either way, like
what his diet is.
Right? and how he does that. That's just, I mean, I hate shedding off, like when I have 10 extra pounds, I hate shedding that off.
Dude,
like,
he must have a great workout.
He must be happy to do walk miles or run miles and or whatever he does for it, because I couldn't imagine losing that much weight in that much time.
After Batman, he did The Fighter, I think, where he was skinny as heck. Looks like he lost a lot of his muscle.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think American Hustle, he got fat.
Yep.
And then this one, I think he's even fatter. It looks like his belly.
Yeah.
This one, he looks so fatter.
And it could be a prosthetic too, but
true.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if he gained the weight for it again, because I think that he does that where he goes with a skinny movie and then he goes to a big movie so he can lose the weight again for a skinny movie that he has. But how many times can you do that? Especially I think he's about 40, maybe 30 to 40 or something like that, around that age.
He's born 1974.
Yeah, so how many times can you do that without having like a heart attack or something? So I don't know. We'll see.
This movie being directed by Adam McKay. Adam McKay, if you guys don't know him, he's worked on The Big Short. He worked on Ant-Man.
The Other Guys, one of my personal favorite.
The Other
movies.
Guys, Talladega Nights. So this is gonna be a strong movie. Definitely gonna see it probably in the Oscars.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah.
This end of this year is a lot of movies come out for Christmas. A lot of them look really good.
It's gonna be
so
really
it seems
hard.
like the end of the year is where they pushed most of their movies. That's when they push it out, because that's when you remember a movie 2 weeks ago rather than 11 months ago in January when you first saw it.
Yeah, I agree.
Beginning of this year was kind of lackluster, but now we're winding down to October, November, December, and these movies they're ramping up.
What did you see last year in theaters? I know you see a movie every Christmas.
Oh yeah, last year I saw that Mark Wahlberg movie.
Daddy's Home?
No, the one where.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about that
last time. I should have looked it up.
Either way, but there's not a lot. The last couple of years has not been a very strong Christmas or even November release, because I think a couple years back it was the Lego movie and that got really good reviews. I can't even remember. I mean, I think it was in December or whatever, but either way, there's not a lot. You can't go back and sit there and go, wow, what a great bunch of movies in December. This looks like one that we could actually say, wow, there's been...
Which one do I want to watch?
Exactly. I'm already saying, like, in theaters the 18th through the 21st, there, I'm already kind of confused.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, this would be good if you have AMC's Movie Pass,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we need to invest in that for the December time.
Yeah, $20, you see most of these movies.
Yep.
So, let's get into our review of Venom. Movie reviews.
Venom.
You want to go ahead and start it off?
Yeah. Venom. PG-13. We've been talking. I think we've been talking about this movie since the start of this podcast. Not today, but since we started writing our podcast. And I think we've been really bagging on this movie for
how dumb it kind of looks.
Yeah, and
based off the trailer.
Yeah, and I think we were really worried about the PG-13 rating.
Yeah,
I fucking loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought it had character in it. I think it's at 31% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. We're really hoping that it bumps up because it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we went in with our hopes low, and we left with our hopes, high.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it was
high,
it was a bad movie in the sense that there's a couple things wrong, but you can't even call it a bad movie. It's not even a bad movie. It's very much just like a Marvel movie. My only one take out of this whole movie, and I told you this when we were on the way back from seeing it, was that they made DC canon in their universe, in that universe.
Yeah.
By saying that's his kryptonite. Mm-hmm. And there's no other kryptonite out there other than DC. So it's like, it was just funny that they brought that into it, because it's like, hey, Sony, you're a Marvel company. You don't talk about your competition. Like, I mean, they were even like saying it like a good thing. Like, it wasn't like talking shit. It was just like, oh, he doesn't have a kryptonite? Like, man, you really did that.
Yeah, and I was kind of really wary about Tom Hardy in this because he's one of my favorite actors. And then trailers, the trailers, his voice was really like off.
It was like Irish, almost, or it was like a weird accent.
Yeah, it was so weird. But then when we saw the movie, he didn't really have an accent. He was more New Yorker accent, which is his character.
Exactly.
So I was like, what the heck were they doing with those trailers?
Yeah, I think Sony was. I don't think they did reshoots. I think they cut a lot of stuff. But did you read the article that they said that Tom Hardy said that I think they cut about 40 minutes.
It's probably to make it PG-13.
Exactly, and now. We were talking about this earlier. I think that if they want to make it into a Marvel movie at this point, they can. They could easily cross over the universe. Now, there's some stuff in the universe that obviously will be different.
Yeah.
But right now, like, other than the kryptonite thing, they could easily push him in there and have him fight Peter Parker, because maybe he's the one that got him fired from his job. They even say that in the movie at one point.
Well, they didn't mention who fired
did it,
him,
but I'm saying, like, but at one point somebody discredited him. I guess that was what I think it was what it said. So how funny would that be if it was Spider-Man and
probably
it was,
in the comics it is. So
it was Peter Parker and he goes after Peter Parker and then realizes he's Spider-Man and
yeah, this one's different because it's based in San Francisco instead of New York. So that's kind of cool where that has him at a different city when he acquires Venom. But they still have some similarities to the comic that they had J. Jonah Jameson's son. He was the astronaut that brought back the symbiotes, and the symbiotes were pretty dope in this movie. I was really impressed with the CGI. I thought it was going to be, kind of like the Hulk in the way, but they did really well. They did really well. And the fight scenes were really cool.
I wish they incorporated more symbiotes, because I don't know how. I mean, like, we have now at the end, spoiler alert, at the end they have Cletus Cassidy, if you know who that is, that's Carnage, and he even says, "Oh, when I get out of here, there's gonna be carnage." And so, like, whether they'll go with that, maybe that'll be like the third movie. But I really think that if they wanted to, they could pull Spider-Man into this. Now, if they do it on the third movie, I think that's bad luck for them, because of it being the Sam Raimi.
The Spider-Man,
where that happened.
Yep.
So I think at that point they've exhausted. When it is that. If they don't do it on the second movie, I think it's either going to be a Sinister Six, or it'll be a Venom, because...
Well, they're making Morbius, which is the vampire, and that's going to be Jared Leto, a Sony movie.
Yeah.
So they'll tie in Morbius and Venom. Maybe they'll have another superhero villain.
Yeah.
To make a third movie, and then maybe tie them in. I think they might do that.
But I think that they did a good job of leaving it open, and I think the PG-13 is definitely necessary. If they release a rated R version of it, I would be very appreciative.
Yes, definitely gonna have to get a copy of it.
Yeah, but understanding where Sony is at right now, I think that if they wanted to, they could easily say to Marvel, "Hey, could we maybe do a movie together again, other than Spider-Man, or maybe we add Spider-Man to the third one, or
and then who's the guy that produces the MCU? Robert Feige or
Paul Feige.
Paul Feige.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige. So apparently Ruben Fleischer, the director of this movie, said he didn't talk to him at all
Oh, really?
throughout the whole process.
And if that's the case, it really felt like an MCU movie almost. Not like perfectly.
I know some people were saying it didn't. Some people were saying it felt like a 2000s.
It did. No, it felt like the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know how the Hulk was its own standalone movie, but it was still okay. Like some of the first, I think it was the second one.
The second one was good with
So it's kind of like
Edward
that.
Norton.
It's not a Marvel movie of right now, but it's definitely in
Has
like
potential.
that early Bronze Age of when the Marvel movies were getting really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the way that it is right now. So we'll see where it goes from here and who they want to tie it in. But I thought it was great. I thought it had a lot of character to it.
And honestly, between this and the Predator movie we saw, I thought this movie was better.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this movie had more action,
Uh-huh.
more violence. Yeah, and it was just as funny, I think, but I enjoyed it more.
Honestly, I thought this movie was a lot funnier than people are gonna give it. Not a lot of people laughed, but like, and they're very cheesy moments. But
Yes.
that's okay.
The banter between Eddie Brock and Venom was awesome.
Oh my god,
I love
yeah.
that.
When you figure out that Eddie Brock's this loser, and then you end up finding out that the fucking symbiote's a fucking loser.
Too. That was great. It was so good.
It adds a whole nother character to him. It almost
Yeah.
makes him like Spawn.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think Spawn was ever possessed by a demon, he got the powers. But it's just like the attitude that you say things.
It gave him
that
personality.
people, yeah, and it made him something different than it made him. The main villain was trying to figure out what symbiotes were all about.
Yeah.
It's all about what your personality is. That guy's personality was ruthless, that bad guy.
Oh,
and that's why
Riot
went after him. Eddie Brock was a loser, and that's why
Eddie Brock clung to or Venom clung to Eddie Brock.
Yeah,
They're
and-
similar.
Exactly.
And he even said that in the movie. He's like, "That's why I like you. That's why I picked you. Because we're the same."
So it has a lot more character to that as well. So all in all, I think that if I were giving Rotten Tomatoes a review on my own personal accord,
Yeah.
I'd give the movie probably a 70.
Yeah.
Easily a 70.
Easily 70.
Yeah.
Like I said, better than the Predator.
Yeah. and believe me, I think we were both really excited to see the Predator.
Yeah.
And that was definitely disappointing.
It
It was
was.
good, but it was
good, yeah.
disappointing
Yeah.
to the fact that I would probably maybe give that like a 50.
Yeah. Exactly.
So.
But right now on IMDb, it's at a 7. So that's
Yeah,
where we're at.
And that's exactly where we're at. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing to see. It's like we were talking about. Rotten Tomatoes is just one of those broken where everyone can make a review and it can tank a movie really quick on the consumer reviews, not just the critics.
Yeah, exactly.
You and I who paid for a ticket, we can go on there and review it, and somebody that didn't buy the ticket can go on there and review.
There's no proof of purchase or whatever.
So, but extremely good.
But yeah, other than that, if you have a chance and want to see a movie this October, this week, definitely check out Venom. Definitely give it a thumbs up.
And check it out. It's an awesome movie.
And that is going to do it for this week's movie lowdown. Did we have a question of the week?
No, I've been too busy for this shit, man.
It's okay. I'll throw in a question. Which super villain do you want to see next in a standalone film?
Oh, in a Marvel film or just a standalone?
Standalone.
Ooh.
Like Venom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What would you like to see?
What I would like to see, Lobo.
Really?
Lobo from DC. That'd be
Okay.
cool.
Me personally, I know this is happening, so it's kind of like redundant, but I'd love to see a Loki movie where he's just the anti-hero the whole time, and like he's put in a position where he's no longer with Thor, and he's got to act as
By himself.
Yeah, and act like this person's doing what he doesn't like, which turns him almost into a hero. That would be something. And
Yeah,
now,
that'd be interesting to see.
I know they're doing the shows right now with Scarlet Witch and him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're actually doing for their streaming service.
Oh,
They've announced that
yeah.
they're doing standalone shows for the two
Holy
of them,
crap.
and the same characters too. So it'll be Tom Hiddleston, and it'll be
Whoa.
yeah. So what they do with it, we don't know.
Yeah.
It's very early in development, but I'd like to see. I know that they're gonna do the show about it, but I'd love to see a standalone movie where maybe he teams up with a couple of Asgardian characters, odd Asgardian characters.
Yeah, just oddballs.
That they pull from the comics. So there's a lot of stuff they can pull from.
But that is going to do it for Movie Lowdown. I am TJ Washuk.
And I am Tylenol.
Good
Extra
night.
strength.
This has been a Two Guys production.